Everything you love about Thanksgiving was probably illegal at some point. That pumpkin pie on your table? Banned. The family football game on the lawn? A finable offense. The very idea of celebrating on a set day every year? Forbidden by its own founders. Today, we're exposing 50 ridiculous rules, from colonial mandates to modern absurdities, that prove America's favorite holiday has a secret criminal past. 1. The main course of Thanksgiving was almost banned, by extinction. By the early 20th century, the wild turkey had been hunted so aggressively that it had vanished from many states. In response, state governments enacted strict, decades-long hunting bans and launched massive conservation efforts to bring the population back. For a long time, the only turkey you could legally eat was a domesticated one, because its wild cousin was a protected species on the brink of disappearing forever. 2. In Yellville, Arkansas, a local festival had a bizarre tradition, dropping live turkeys from an airplane. For decades, this turkey drop was a real event, defended as a cherished custom. Following intense national outrage and scrutiny under animal cruelty and aviation safety laws, the practice was effectively banned. It was a horrifying spectacle that finally proved a simple holiday rule. Your main course should arrive in a roasting pan, not as an airdropped projectile. 3. You know the tradition of two people pulling on a turkey wishbone? For a time, that was officially banned, not by law, but by the unforgiving rules of 19th century etiquette. In high society households, it was considered a vulgar and childish display. Proper dining guides instructed hosts to discreetly remove the wishbone in the kitchen, far from the prying eyes of guests. Your favorite Thanksgiving minigame was once a major social foul. 4. In certain overly manicured suburban neighborhoods governed by a Homeowners Association, you are forbidden from displaying inflatable Thanksgiving decorations, like a giant turkey, that exceeds 6 feet in height. Apparently, a 10-foot inflatable gobbler is considered a threat to the aesthetic harmony and property values of the entire community. Your freedom of expression ends where your neighbor's view of a beige fence begins. 5. There isn't a federal law against it, but fire departments across the nation have effectively banned the act of deep frying a frozen turkey. This isn't a suggestion, it's a desperate plea based on physics. Dropping a frozen bird into a vat of 350-degree oil causes the ice to instantly flash vaporize, expanding to 1,700 times its original volume. This creates a cataclysmic jet of boiling oil, turning your festive backyard cookout into a Michael Bay movie. It's a ban born not from morality but from the simple, beautiful science of explosions. 6. In Colonial, Connecticut, being insufficiently thankful was basically a crime. Thanksgiving wasn't a cozy family holiday, it was a state-mandated religious event. When the General Court declared a public day of Thanksgiving, you were expected to show up in church. Skipping it to baste your turkey early wasn't viewed as personal freedom. It was treated like blowing off a mandatory civic duty. They didn't just encourage gratitude, they enforced it like spiritual jury duty. 7. The idyllic image of the first Thanksgiving often involves pilgrims welcoming Native Americans with open arms. But according to the rules of the Plymouth Colony, it was strictly forbidden to entertain uninvited Native guests in your home without permission from the governor. The famous 1621 feast was a very specific, politically motivated event, not an open-door potluck. The colonists had a standing ban on the very kind of spontaneous hospitality that the holiday is now meant to represent. 8. Many modern corporations have instituted a formal or informal ban on discussing politics at the office during the week of Thanksgiving. Citing a need for a positive and respectful work environment, HR departments send out gentle reminders that arguments about tax policy or election results do not pair well with the break room's pumpkin spice coffee. It's a preemptive strike against the kind of family arguments many will have just a few days later. Is this a smart way to keep the peace, or an awkward restriction on free speech in the break room? 9. In Massachusetts, the ancestral home of puritanical fun policing, you are officially banned from your traditional last-minute wine run. Thanks to one of the nation's strictest blue laws, all liquor stores are legally mandated to be closed on Thanksgiving Day. This isn't a friendly suggestion for a sober holiday, it's the law. The state government has decided that on this one day, you must face your extended family armed with nothing stronger than sparkling cider. It's a legislative ban on the very social lubricant that makes enduring hours of political debate with your relatives even remotely possible. 10. Each year, the President of the United States famously pardons a turkey, saving it from the Thanksgiving table. But this is a modern media spectacle. In the early days of the tradition, starting around the Truman era, the turkey given to the president wasn't pardoned. It was simply eaten. The ceremony was just a photo op with the future main course. The official ban on eating the presidential turkey only became a permanent tradition under George H.W. Bush in 1989, turning a cynical political dinner plan into a heartwarming PR stunt. 11. In many school districts across the country, the classic Thanksgiving play, the one with kids in construction paper pilgrim hats and feathered headbands, has been officially banned. Citing historical inaccuracies and cultural stereotypes, educators have phased out the old pageant. So the charmingly clumsy Thanksgiving play you remember from your childhood is now considered contraband, replaced by lessons on harvest festivals and historical nuance. A necessary update, maybe, but it's the end of an era for handcrafted gobbler costumes. 12. If you want to raise your own Thanksgiving turkey in an urban backyard, you're likely out of luck. Most cities and many suburban towns have zoning ordinances that explicitly ban the raising of livestock, and that category often includes poultry larger than a chicken. So your dream of a truly farm-to-table experience, where the farm is your 20-foot by 20-foot patch of grass, is officially prohibited by City Hall. 13. Heading to the airport with your famous cranberry sauce? The TSA has effectively banned it from your carry-on. Because cranberry sauce, jellied or whole berry, is considered a gel, it falls under the 3.4-ounce liquid rule. Every year, thousands of pounds of perfectly good cranberry sauce are confiscated at security checkpoints, tossed into a bin alongside forgotten water bottles and oversized tubes of toothpaste. Your delicious homemade side dish has been classified as a potential security threat, a victim of bureaucratic vigilance. It's a tragic, gelatinous end to a holiday tradition. 14. The National Football League doesn't have a law, but it has something even more powerful: a broadcast monopoly. For decades, the NFL has held an iron grip on Thanksgiving Day, making it virtually impossible for any other major sports league to compete. This isn't a government ban, but a corporate one, ensuring that your only option for live sports while digesting turkey is professional football. Is this a beloved American tradition that brings families together, or just a brilliant corporate strategy that has banned any and all competition? 15. If you were a baker in certain 19th century American towns, your festive mincemeat pies were considered illegal contraband. Driven by the temperance movement, some local governments passed ordinances that specifically banned the sale of mincemeat that contained ardent spirits. These laws were designed to crack down on any form of hidden alcohol consumption. Your great-great-grandmother's boozy holiday pie? A delicious and technically criminal act of defiance. 16. In recent years, a growing number of states have passed laws that ban large retail stores from opening on Thanksgiving Day itself. It's a modern pushback against the phenomenon known as Black Friday creep, where holiday shopping starts earlier and earlier. Lawmakers in places like Maine and Massachusetts have essentially said the pursuit of a doorbuster deal on a flat-screen TV is officially banned from interfering with family dinner. The government is legally forcing you to wait until at least midnight. 17. For many families, the long Thanksgiving weekend is a perfect time for hunting. But in Pennsylvania, you're banned from doing so on Sunday. The state has one of the country's last and most restrictive bans on Sunday hunting, a holdover from old blue laws. This has been a source of frustration for decades, as it cuts the 4-day holiday weekend down to 3 for hunters wanting to spend time outdoors. It's a collision between modern recreation and a centuries-old rule designed to keep the Sabbath quiet. 18. The kids' table is a cornerstone of Thanksgiving tradition, but it's also a form of social banishment. For years, children are banned from sitting with the adults, exiled to a smaller, often less stable table in another room. They are legally barred from the grown-up conversations and the good silverware until they reach an unspecified age of maturity. Is the kids' table a beloved rite of passage, or a form of social exile we should have abolished years ago? 19. If you work for a large corporation, you might be banned from accepting a Thanksgiving gift from a client. Many companies have strict ethics policies that prohibit employees from receiving gifts worth more than a nominal amount, often as low as $25. That means the beautiful gift basket with a smoked turkey, a bottle of wine, and artisanal cheese has to be politely rejected. It's a corporate ban on holiday generosity, all in the name of avoiding even the appearance of a conflict of interest. 20. This one is a tough but crucial piece of history. For over 50 years, the U.S. government effectively banned Native Americans from practicing their own harvest ceremonies. An 1883 law known as the Code of Indian Offenses outlawed many traditional religious practices, including ceremonial dances and feasts that were central to their own Thanksgiving-like traditions. So, while the rest of the country was celebrating its version of the holiday, the government was actively suppressing the harvest festivals of the continent's original inhabitants. 21. For decades, Thanksgiving was celebrated on the last Thursday of November, as proclaimed by Abraham Lincoln. But in 1939, President Franklin D. Roosevelt officially banned that tradition and moved the holiday 1 week earlier. His reason? To extend the Christmas shopping season and boost the Depression-era economy. The move was so controversial that it split the country. For 2 years, half the states celebrated on the old date and half on the new one, in a bitter holiday schism known as Franksgiving. Congress finally had to step in and set a permanent date. 22. During World War II, the U.S. government became the world's most demanding dinner guest, effectively banning your ideal Thanksgiving feast. Due to strict wartime rationing, key ingredients were severely limited. Sugar for your pumpkin pie, coffee for after dinner, and even the amount of meat available were all tightly controlled by ration stamps. Families had to get creative with substitute ingredients, turning the holiday into a national exercise in culinary improvisation. A truly lavish meal wasn't just expensive, it was unpatriotic. 23. In 1959, the federal government nearly banned cranberries from Thanksgiving forever. Just weeks before the holiday, the Secretary of Health announced that a weed killer used on cranberry bogs was found to be carcinogenic. This sparked a nationwide panic known as the Great Cranberry Scare. Shoppers shunned the fruit, and the market collapsed. Even First Lady Mamie Eisenhower famously served applesauce instead of cranberry sauce at the White House. It was a de facto federal ban that almost erased a staple from our plates. 24. There is a powerful, self-imposed ban on discussing politics at many Thanksgiving tables, enforced not by law, but by sheer desperation. After years of explosive arguments, families across the nation have entered into a fragile, unspoken truce. This treaty bans any mention of elections, policies, or cable news commentators. The punishment for violating this ban isn't a fine. It's a deafening silence, followed by your cousin suddenly becoming extremely interested in the quality of the silverware. 25. The rise of Friendsgiving has created a new kind of social ban. For many families, celebrating a separate Thanksgiving with friends is seen as a form of holiday treason. It implies that the official family gathering is somehow not enough, creating a Thanksgiving schism. You may not get a legal citation, but you could get a guilt trip so powerful it has its own gravitational pull. Are you team family first, or do you think Friendsgiving is a perfectly acceptable, rebellious act? 26. The Pilgrims and Puritans would have been horrified by your modern Thanksgiving. On their designated days of Thanksgiving, they actually banned any form of fun. These were solemn religious occasions, often involving fasting before the main meal, followed by hours of prayer. Games, loud music, and excessive celebration were strictly forbidden as they were seen as frivolous and disrespectful to God. Your food coma and football marathon would have been their worst nightmare. 27. If you're shopping during Thanksgiving week, you might notice that retail employees rarely say, "Happy Thanksgiving." It's not because they're rude. Many major chains quietly train staff to stick to neutral greetings like "Happy Holidays" in the name of corporate inclusivity. It isn't an official ban, but it definitely works like one. Your cashier may want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, but the training manual strongly prefers something less specific. 28. In New York City, you can't just show up to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade with a giant Snoopy balloon. All parade balloon handlers must be officially licensed and trained. The city learned this the hard way after a rogue cat in the hat balloon crashed into a lamppost in 1997, injuring 4 people. Now, there are strict rules governing balloon height, wind speed limits, and handler certification, effectively banning any amateur from guiding a 50-foot cartoon character down Broadway. 29. In cities that host major Thanksgiving parades, you are temporarily banned from a basic freedom: crossing the street. For hours, police barricades line the parade route, making it impossible to get to the other side for miles. You are legally held hostage by a 60-foot-tall Pikachu and a procession of high school marching bands. Your simple plan to grab a coffee from the shop across the road is officially denied by the forces of festive pageantry. 30. In cities like San Francisco and Seattle, you're now banned from throwing your Thanksgiving leftovers in the trash. With mandatory composting laws, all food scraps, from turkey bones to potato peels to that weird Jell-O salad nobody touched, must go into a separate green bin. It's an environmental mandate that has turned your holiday cleanup into a legally regulated waste sorting operation. Is this a smart ecological move or just another chore on an already busy day? 31. Let's talk about that glorious, sticky sweet potato casserole topped with marshmallows. To culinary purists and historical chefs, this dish is an abomination. In the court of gastronomic opinion, there's an unofficial but passionately enforced ban on what they see as a candy dish masquerading as a vegetable. The recipe was invented in the early 20th century as a marketing ploy by a marshmallow company. So every time you serve it, you're delighting your family, but violating a sacred, unwritten law of fine dining. 32. The very concept of a fixed annual Thanksgiving was once banned by its own founders. The Pilgrims and Puritans believed that a day of Thanksgiving should be declared spontaneously, only in direct response to a specific blessing, like a successful harvest or the end of a drought. They viewed a regularly scheduled holiday on a set calendar date as a popish or Catholic invention. In their eyes, our modern, predictable celebration would have been a flagrant violation of their religious rules. 33. That romantic image of gathering fallen branches in the woods for a crackling post-dinner bonfire? It's banned in almost every state and national park. Park regulations strictly prohibit the collection of any natural materials, including firewood. They want the wood to decay naturally and return nutrients to the ecosystem. So your rustic pioneer-style plan to warm up by the fire is officially forbidden by the Department of the Interior in the name of ecological balance. 34. That glorious, muddy, semi-competitive family football game, the one that serves as the perfect pre-dinner ritual? It has been effectively banned in countless public parks and suburban neighborhoods across America. This isn't about safety, it's about grass. Ordinances designed to protect pristine, perfectly manicured turf often prohibit any form of ball games on public lawns. And in neighborhoods governed by a Homeowners Association, your chaotic, laughter-filled tradition is a finable offense. The sacred lawn must be protected from the horror of spontaneous family fun. 35. Planning on serving fried chicken at your Thanksgiving feast in Gainesville, Georgia? You're legally banned from eating it with a fork. In a quirky publicity stunt that became actual law, the city council made it illegal to consume fried chicken with anything other than your hands. While it's rarely enforced on paper, it's a real ordinance. It's the one place in America where your grandmother would be legally required to tell you to use your fingers. What's the weirdest law in the books in your town? 36. At many modern workplaces, the Thanksgiving potluck has a new, uninvited guest, the corporate lawyer. A growing number of companies have banned employees from bringing homemade dishes to office gatherings. Citing concerns over food allergies, cross-contamination, and potential liability, they now require all food to be store-bought and commercially packaged. The corporate lawyer has officially banned your Aunt Carol's famous 7-layer dip from the break room. 37. On social media, there's a powerful unwritten rule. You are banned from showing a realistic Thanksgiving. Your feed will be a curated fantasy of golden brown turkeys, perfectly set tables, and smiling families in matching sweaters. You are socially forbidden from posting a picture of the burnt rolls, the lumpy gravy, or the full-blown argument that erupted over the final slice of pie. Online, every Thanksgiving must be perfect, or it must not be shown at all. 38. If you live in an apartment building, you're likely banned from using your trendy new wood pellet smoker on the balcony to cook your turkey. Most building regulations and city fire codes have strict rules prohibiting any solid fuel barbecue, which includes smokers and charcoal grills, on combustible balconies or within 10 feet of the building. Your dream of a slow-smoked, perfectly tender Thanksgiving bird has been officially extinguished by the fire marshal and your building's insurance policy. 39. That sleepy, post-meal feeling known as the turkey coma has led to a serious warning that borders on a ban. Highway safety officials and police departments across the country equate driving while drowsy with driving drunk. They warn that the combination of a massive meal and travel fatigue makes you a serious danger on the road. So the decision to power through your tiredness on the drive home is not just a bad idea. It's considered as reckless as getting behind the wheel after a few drinks. 40. There's a powerful, unspoken social ban on eating Thanksgiving dinner at a normal dinner time. The meal must be served in that bizarre culinary no man's land between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. This schedule ensures that you're starving by noon, but too full to even consider eating a real dinner later. Serving the feast at a sensible 6:30 p.m. would be a shocking violation of protocol. What's the absolute perfect time to eat the main meal? Settle this monumental debate for us in the comments. 41. Planning a loud, passionate family argument after dinner? If you're in Aspen, Colorado, you could be breaking the law. The city has a famously strict noise ordinance that bans unreasonable noise at any time of day. While it's aimed at rowdy tourists, that screaming match over politics or the outcome of the football game could technically get you a visit from the police if a neighbor complains. Your First Amendment rights don't necessarily cover shouting at Uncle Jerry from the front porch at 10 p.m. 42. For decades, the experts at the Butterball Turkey Talk Line have been a holiday lifeline for panicked home cooks. But they operate under a strict set of rules. They are officially banned from recommending any turkey brand other than Butterball, obviously. But more importantly, they are forbidden from endorsing any unconventional or potentially unsafe cooking methods they hear about on the internet, no matter how trendy. Their job is to prevent a disaster, not to help you with your bacon-wrapped beer can turkey experiment. 43. In some towns in New Jersey, you are effectively banned from being a noisy eater. Anti-noise ordinances are written so broadly that they can technically be applied to loud and unnecessary sounds emanating from a private residence. So that chorus of enthusiastic slurping during your grandma's famous soup course could, in theory, be considered a public nuisance. It's the one place where your mother's command to chew with your mouth closed is backed up by the threat of municipal law. 44. You know Black Friday, the chaotic, consumer-driven sequel to Thanksgiving. Well, in over 20 states, the government has given it an official seal of approval. Places like California, Florida, and Texas recognize the day after Thanksgiving as an official state holiday. This means that for hundreds of thousands of state employees, going to work is officially banned. The state government has legally mandated a day off, effectively endorsing a national stampede for discounted electronics. It's a government-sanctioned ban on productivity, all in the name of a good deal. 45. For nearly a century, America's dairy farmers waged a holy war against margarine, and your Thanksgiving dinner table was the battlefield. In states like Wisconsin, it was illegal to sell margarine that was colored yellow to look like butter. To get around this ban, companies sold it in its natural white color, along with a small packet of yellow dye for you to mix in at home. It was a bizarre, state-mandated arts and crafts project just to butter your dinner rolls. 46. In many households, a new and powerful law has been enacted: the total ban on cell phones at the dinner table. This rule is enforced by a matriarch-turned-warden, with a basket often placed by the door for all devices to be surrendered upon entry. The goal is to force actual human conversation. Violating this ban results in a punishment far worse than being grounded: a look of deep, profound disappointment from your grandmother. 47. You know how pumpkin pie is the undisputed king of Thanksgiving desserts? For much of early American history, it was banned from the table in New England, not by law, but by a culinary crisis. In 1705, a major molasses shortage hit Connecticut, and since molasses was a key ingredient, the town of Colchester was forced to postpone its Thanksgiving for a week, specifically citing the inability to make pumpkin pie. It was a temporary, crisis-driven ban on the holiday's most iconic dish. 48. Virtually every popular modern diet, from keto to paleo to Whole30, enacts a total ban on the classic Thanksgiving plate. Mashed potatoes? Banned. Bread stuffing? Banned. Gravy made with flour? Banned. Dinner rolls? Banned. And the pumpkin pie you've been dreaming of all year? Banned with extreme prejudice. For followers of these diets, the Thanksgiving feast is less of a celebration and more of a nutritional crime scene. 49. The classic image of the pilgrim at the first Thanksgiving, the stoic man dressed in black with a big buckled hat, is so iconic it's practically a law of history. Except, it's a complete myth. Historians have effectively banned this image as a 19th century invention. Pilgrims wore a wide variety of colorful clothing, and buckles were not in fashion for them. So every Thanksgiving decoration featuring a buckled hat is in direct violation of historical accuracy. Alright, we've covered 49 points with just one to go, but before we get to number 50, it's time for the final verdict. In our opinion, the award for the most mind-shattering rule from today's list goes to the Puritans' original ban on celebrating a fixed annual Thanksgiving. Because this isn't just a quirky law about pickles or parades, it's a rule that fundamentally rejects the holiday's entire modern identity, enforced by its own creators. The fact that they would have viewed our beloved scheduled tradition as a violation of their beliefs is the ultimate irony. It turns our celebration into an accidental rebellion against its own roots. Do you agree with our verdict? Let us know your pick in the comments. And now, for our final number, our 50. The ultimate Thanksgiving-related ban comes from the holiday's founders themselves. The Puritans of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, who gave us the template for Thanksgiving, passed a law in 1659 that banned the celebration of Christmas. They saw it as a decadent pagan festival with no biblical basis. You could be fined 5 shillings for the crime of showing Christmas spirit. So the very people who started one major American holiday made it illegal to celebrate the very next one. Talk about a confusing kickoff to the holiday season. So, it's clear the spirit of Thanksgiving isn't just turkey and gratitude, it's a minefield of forgotten laws and unwritten rules. Now for the question guaranteed to start a war in the comments. Be ruthless. What is the single most overrated Thanksgiving food? If you enjoy having your view of the world cleverly twisted like this, make sure to like this video and subscribe. You don't want to miss what we uncover next.